everybody, and welcome to NJ Thrive Small Business Webinars. Today is Thursday, November 21st. You are joining us for our weekly webinars created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. My name is Uzma. I'm a consultant here at NJSBDC. That stands for New Jersey Small Business Development Centers. We are a network and a statewide program powered by the SBA and partners alike to help small businesses in New Jersey with three main things. And those things are no cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, just like this one that you're attending, and exclusive small business resources. If you are joining this webinar and if you are hearing about us for the first time, then we welcome you. Thank you for attending. Thank you for your participation as well, because I will ask everyone to go in the chat and let us know who you are, where you're attending from, if you're from New Jersey or out of the state, what your small business is about, what made you join, anything you'd like to share really, and feel free to network. Use it as a networking space. Make sure when you're sending those messages, make sure you're doing it, sending it to everyone, not just hosts and panelists, because we want everyone to see those messages. We want everyone responding to those messages. So go ahead and do that right now. We'll give a few shout outs as well. And while you do that, I will just talk briefly about the map that you see on the screen. And that is, of course, the state of New Jersey, divided up in all the counties that are in the state, of course, 21, I believe. And wherever you see the small SBDC logos is where you'll find our regional centers. So when we say we are a network throughout the state of New Jersey, it is truly that, because we have about 10 regional centers throughout the entire state and satellite offices as well, including our state office, our headquarters. So feel free to go to njsbdc.com. That is literally just the acronym, the name of the organization, njsbdc.com, and find out where our locations are and how you can receive counseling. All right, let me just go in the chat. I see Fernando, I see Patrick, I see Timmy. All right, thank you for joining us and thank you for sharing. All right, Aruna. All right, I'm seeing some messages come in from hosts and panelists. DJ Doug, Stephanie. Make sure you're selecting everyone in the drop-down menu instead of host and panelists, and you'll be able to see messages from everyone. All right, moving on. All right, this is a special slide, a special announcement. Of course, America's BC, NJSBDC, support local, grow New Jersey, NJSBDC statewide network. What does this mean? Shop small? Well, the Saturday after Thanksgiving and Black Friday is when Shop Small campaign comes from. Shop Small, Small Business Saturday. So we have Thanksgiving on Thursday, Black Friday on Friday, and Small Business Saturday that Saturday. And we encourage all our consumers, of course, but everyone in the state of New Jersey as well nationwide to shop small, to shop from small businesses during the holiday season. And that is where it's good for everyone, not just our small business, it's good for the economy. So we encourage and support local and make sure to shop small, not only that Saturday, but throughout this holiday season, as well as every day. Agenda. We have a couple of headlines to share with you that are happening throughout the state of New Jersey or elsewhere as well. Then we have the presentation from our speaker and then a Q&A session after. And these are the small business headlines of the week. And whether they have happened or will be happening in our community, then these are some things I will go over very, very briefly. And the links for these will be shared in the chat. So as I talked about, NJSBDC kicks off Shop Small season with Support Local, Grow New Jersey campaign. This campaign, as I talked about, is to celebrate Small Business Saturday, encourage New Jerseyans to support small businesses that form the backbone of our state's economy, as well as nationwide. This falls on November 30th, 2024, of course, the Saturday that follows the Thanksgiving. This is an annual event that was founded in 2010, actually, by American Express Company to support local businesses impacted by the economic downturn. But this has grown into a national tradition and it is recognized by local governments in all 50 states. So just to mark your calendars, we've provided key dates for the Shop Small season, and these are on whatever is happening for key events that are happening. So keep an eye out from not only our network, but also from the SBA itself, which is the Small Business Administration, and watch for the webinars as well as in-person events. So these are all the links that have been provided. You can go and take a look for yourself. And a pop-up just happened. This is our newsletter pop-up on our website, because this is our website, NJSBDC.com. Definitely register, definitely sign up so you can receive updates and news. Next is a press release from NJEDA, New Jersey Economic Development Authority. This is also, alongside us, of course, a great small business resource for all small business owners to know. So keep this in your loop of small business resources. This is a press release, of course, released yesterday. NJEDA board approves $10 million small business liquor license grant program. Grant funding will unlock inactive licenses, supporting Governor Murphy's initiative to reform antiquated liquor license laws. All right, so this is funded at $10 million. We'll provide up to $100,000 in grant funding to reimburse eligible small businesses that have purchased an inactive plenary retail consumption liquor license within the past 12 months. Okay, and yep, these are all the legislations that are provided, the act, and all the other information. So definitely, if that is of interest to you, then you should look into it. Third is from SBA, Small Business Administration. It's also a press release. SBA awards $240K grant to National Center for American Indian Enterprise Development. New Native American Trade Expansion Program Pilot Award to help expand exporting opportunities to Native American-owned small businesses. All right, so this is the first trade expansion program grantee from the Office of Native American Affairs. And let's see, with these funds, they can support Native small businesses with participation in foreign trade missions, reverse trade missions and shows, export training workshops, trade show exhibition, etc. All right, if this is of interest to you, you can go to the links that are provided, and the links in the chat where they have been provided. You can save the chat itself, and you can also open the links, and it'll open in the browser wherever you're joining from. Things to keep in mind: if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A box, not the chat box. So in the Zoom bar, you'll notice that there is a Q&A box. That is where you put all your questions, whether it's for me, whether it's for our speaker, whatever it is by NJSBDC. If you would like to receive the slides from today, please complete a brief survey, and you just have to provide feedback on how we did, what you'd like to see from us, things like that, and you'll receive the slides. They won't be emailed to you, but as soon as you complete the survey, the link will be shown on your screen. Webinar is being recorded, so everything from the beginning up until the end will be recorded, and the link on where it will be available in the chat. It's just our YouTube channel. You can go there, you can search up NJSBDC webinars, it'll pop up, and this specific webinar will be available in a couple of days. All right. And before we go to our speaker, I see that Amy Amoroso is joining us. Amy, if you are here, you can see and talk to us. If you can hear us, feel free to come on with your camera and let us know. Amy's a guest speaker for today, but if not, we can just do it after as well.
Good afternoon. Yes, I am here. Unfortunately, it says my video is disabled. Okay, here we go. It was disabled by the host. I think we're good. Okay. Well, hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be invited. Can I just ask, is this their first day of Thrive, or is this an ongoing?
Ongoing, definitely ongoing for the past, I believe, 2-3 years.
Yeah. The participants in this class.
Oh, participants. I believe this would be the first time, or some would be repeat attendees.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Mary. Happy Thursday. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for New Jersey SBDC for the invitation. I don't know if anybody knows about our programming or how we assist and the collaboration we do across all of SBA resource platforms. As SBDC is an SBA resource partner, so is my organization. So I am with the Veteran Business Outreach Center. My name is Amy Amoroso. I am the director here of New York and New Jersey. A little bit about my background. I have been a business consultant for about 25 plus years, or I should say about over this, so about a quarter of a century now, working underneath the US Small Business Administration. And 17 years of my career, I was actually with the New York SBDC as a business consultant. So thank you all for what you do and provide on our entrepreneurial journey for our business owners embarking on this. It's just a wonderful experience, not only for us as consultants, but as you as our clients. So with that being stated, I am a military spouse. I've been married to the Marine Corps now for, again, over 25 plus years, and considered a serial entrepreneur. So, with that being stated, I'm happy to be here today representing if there is a veteran, military spouse, or service member that is in the audience that is taking this class, looking to further develop any type of organizational skills, kind of knowing the language, going through the representation of starting your small business. You're more than welcome to feel free to reach out to my center. I do have a center here in New York as well as in New Jersey. And so we are growing leaps and bounds as well. I've been director of this program now for pretty much since we started. We started with 5 veteran business outreach centers across the country. We're now up to 31. So we are a growing program here to service all of our veterans' needs, of course, and their family. So it's my pleasure to be here with you all this afternoon, going through this Thrive program, which I think is one of the better programs that SBA has out there, helping our entrepreneurs succeed into their next phase of business life. If there's anything that we can do here at the center, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy for you all to take this next step in your journey. Business plan development, I think, is one of our biggest goals and objectives to help you succeed, because that sustainability, that viability that you're getting through this Thrive program, and of course the collaboration you're getting not only with your other participants, but with all the speakers that are coming in and all the resource partners that are here to help you. So again, thank you all for doing what you're doing. Thank you for embarking on your next phase of entrepreneurial journey. If there's anything we can do to help, please let us know. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Amy. We really, really appreciate it. And this is a great opportunity for attendees. So as you've said, if anyone is interested, definitely reach out. Amy, I'm sorry. Would you be able to share your contact information in the chat? How can our attendees reach out to you if they'd like to?
I will do so right now. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, Amy, once again. And we move on to our speaker of our webinar, who is Vanessa Schwartz, who is one of our startup consultants here at NJSBDC. And today's webinar is, of course, part 2 of the topic that we've been doing, which is build a strong business. Well, today's topic is build a strong business plan, strategies for growth and success. This is part 2 of our startup series that we've been having for the past year. And so Vanessa, welcome. Thank you so much for doing this for us again.
Thank you so much.
Stop sharing my screen and you go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Nice to see everybody today. I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started. Okay. All right. Let's go to the beginning. That would make the most sense. So welcome, everybody. Nice to be here today. Today's topic is building a strong business plan. And we're going to look at it, maybe in a different way today than you're used to, or if you've been struggling and you don't know quite how to start, and you're not even quite sure what needs to be in a plan, or if you need a plan. I hope that some of this will assist you in your in your efforts. And certainly we're here to be mentors and to assist as counselors in your writing your plan and achieving success. Okay, so what do we need to know about writing a business plan? First thing I want to say is that it does not have to be long. Very often we are overwhelmed by the idea that we have to put together some 50-page book. That is not the case. Very often a business plan may be a to-do list. It may be a roadmap, something that helps you stay committed, focused, and accountable to the steps you need to take to get your business rolling. Sometimes the business plan is a great vehicle to get some good verbiage down on paper in a way that best describes what you do, so that later on you can leverage the work that you put into that plan and use some of those paragraphs, some of that verbiage in a marketing or an advertising campaign. Same goes for a website. When you're trying to put your content together and you're kind of disorganized in your mind about how you want to show your content, when you've done your plan and it's been done well and you're comfortable with it, it'll make that next step. Think of it like an outline for a paper that you might have written in high school or college, that you'd be able to set up your website in an organized way because you have thought through the proper drivers to your business in a plan. If you are looking for lending assistance or out looking for a loan, this business plan will serve the purpose of showing the lenders your readiness and your ability to execute on your strategy and in your planning, and it'll help them determine whether or not they would be one of the factors in looking at you as a possible candidate to lend money, whether it's an SBA loan or a line of credit. Very often when we're small businesses and we're going out there to look for outside financing, the first thing they will say is, may we see a plan and may we see some financial projections, which we're going to get into. As well as if you're looking to maybe raise capital or raise equity or looking for investments or silent partners, you put a pitch deck together. It will originate from a plan, and you'll be able to portray to whomever you're trying to attract to possibly invest in your business basically the business structure, what you're trying to achieve, what your value drivers are, and what you believe your steps will be to achieve success. So it's also a constant work in progress. We don't write a plan and we can put it away in a little drawer. 6 months can go by, maybe something's changed or you have an idea. You can constantly be reworking it as you move along and as you grow. Or maybe you change your mind, something you tried wasn't working, so now you want to kind of adjust that. So it's always a work in progress. So everybody has a different strategy for writing a plan. You may go online and see about 1,000 templates. I find that to be somewhat overwhelming at times. And when I counsel my small businesses, I always provide them this. This is my take on what a business plan should be, because I believe, given my experience and having worked with so many businesses and also back in my former career working with huge corporations, the most important thing about a plan is that it focuses on basically 2 or 3 things. And they are the value drivers of the business: your revenues, your expenses, and basically your cash flow strategies. And in doing that and in assessing that, I believe that each of these items addresses that and can basically equate to a financial formula to show that at the end of the day, what we all want is we would like to have a business where we take in more than we spend and that we are profitable. And that's the goal. So we're going to go through each of the sections just to give a little bit more, clarity to maybe what should be incorporated in these sections. Again, you'll get a copy of the slides once you fill out the survey, and you can use it if you like, if it's helpful. in your own business plan work. Okay, let's start with the executive summary. So we're starting with it, but we're not starting with it. So I always like to say, it's just advice. You can write your executive summary last. If anybody remembers writing a paper in high school again, or in college, that first paragraph to write and summarize without having done all the work is so challenging. So that's why many of us will sit with a piece of, a pencil and a paper and not know, or in front of your computer, not know how to start typing, because so many things are flooding into your mind and you don't know quite how to summarize it. So leave a little space, get through the rest of the plan, and then come back for your executive summary. Now, the thing that about the executive summary is that when you do come back to it, it should not be very long, because it is a summary. And I want you to think of that summary as basically going to be akin to your elevator speech, or, if you are you're at a cocktail party, or you're trying to get people interested in your business and you're discussing it, and you have to be able to succinctly give 3 sentences or 4 sentences to explain what you do and why you do it well. You want to be able to have that sort of memorized. So that's what that summary is going to help you do. Once you get that summary in place, then there you go. You can be able to articulate what you do in a smart and clear fashion. So what's in those kind of couple of paragraphs, couple of sentences? Your name, where you're operating, maybe when you started, what the purpose of the business is, what do you sell, what is the service you provide, who is your market, who do you sell to, and basically how you're going to solve somebody's problem. So at the end of the day, we're selling a service or selling a good because there is a demand for it. And it's always important to think about the demand and how you're going to meet that demand or fulfill that service as an indicator of what your business motto should be. Because without the customer, we don't have a business. So these 5 thoughts in your summary are probably what you want to make sure you incorporate when you come back to it. Now, I have an example here. I know it's a lot of words on a screen, but I'm just going to read it to you as a way to show you how in one paragraph I was able to articulate Tina's Tutoring Center. So Tina's Tutoring Center, located in Elizabeth, New Jersey, provides tutoring services in math, language arts, specializing in elementary and middle school curriculums. We started in 2001. Tina's Tutoring Center offers private one-on-one sessions, weekly packages, review meetings, group webinars, and proprietary coursework. We target students with IEPs, learning disabilities, but also specialize in preparing middle school students for high school. Our aim is to provide, this is how we're going to meet that demand. We see a problem out there, we want to solve it. Our aim is to provide parents peace of mind for children struggling to keep up with day-to-day assignments, and strive to make the learning process more pleasant and fun for students who feel overwhelmed. Now, it's a paragraph, but I have been able to convey who we are, where we work, what our services are, how we package them, who our target market is, and how we're going to solve your problem in one paragraph. Now, if you're out there on this call today and you own or like to start a tutoring company, you're all set. You have your executive summary. But I like you to, hopefully when you get the slides, you can kind of keep this paragraph and you can fill in your answers. And, maybe that's that step toward getting that executive summary done at a certain point where you're hitting the main points. All right, so the next section of a business plan is where the meat is. It's the business description. This is where we're going to go into more detail. Again, your business information. What do you sell? Easy. What are your sources of revenue? So that might be confusing. You might think, oh, isn't that the same question? It's not necessarily. if you're at the tutoring company, you sell tutoring services. Okay, those are the services you provide. But when you think about the sources of revenue for that company, well, sources of revenue are the tutoring. Sources of revenue could be the sale of the proprietary coursework material. It could be the counseling to parents. Those are all three separate revenue sources for the tutoring company. So not only do you have to think about what you're selling in terms of your overall business purpose, but when you're doing your books and you have an income statement and you have a revenue line and you have to record your sales, you're going to want to see, you have three line items of where sales are generated: tutoring, sale of material, counseling. And that helps you in terms of thinking of your business in terms of top line and areas for growth and areas for expansion. So it's always good to kind of think about what potential sources of revenue within your business are available to you. Then you want to be able to identify your customers, your clients, your target market for each of your sources of revenue. So obviously your clients for the tutoring are going to be the students, but the counseling, your target market is going to be those distraught parents who don't know what to do with their child because they're struggling in school. So you kind of identify and you isolate the actual target market for each of your revenue sources, and that helps you think about down the road when we get into marketing and advertising, how to specifically target and message to advertise your services to your different target markets. Next thing you want to be able to articulate is your pricing strategy and your cost structure. Very important. Cost structure, you have operating expenses as a business. Do you have a brick and mortar? What are your monthly expenses? How much is it going to cost you each month to keep that business going? What is your pricing strategy going to be? That can take some time. We'll talk a little bit more about pricing strategy, but that could be a little trial and error. We have to cover our costs. We have to, aim for profitability, but we can't outprice ourselves in the market. We can't charge $5,000 if our competitors are charging $100. So you see, it's a fine line and a balance between making sure that you're operating in such a way that you're going to be profitable, but at the same time, that could have a lot to do with how you price your work. And you're going to lose the revenue if you're too high, but if you're too low, you may not be profitable. So that's something that is a little tricky and that you will have to think about when you're writing your plan or thinking about starting a business. Do you have employees? If not, do you have is there a thought process down the road in your growth and in your business journey? Will you be hiring employees? And then ultimately, what is the management structure of the company? If you're the only owner, easy. I'm the owner, I'm the manager, I'm the president. But if there's a couple of you in a multi-member, say LLC, or more of a corporation business structure, outlining who's doing what. Is there somebody who is more just a financial investor in the business and more not doing day-to-day? Is there somebody else who's also financially invested, but going to be more on the day-to-day management? It's important to kind of have that organized in your mind when you're putting your plan together, especially if you're going to seek financing. The lenders like to see all of that information. Competitive advantage, thinking about what sets you apart. Is it your product? Does your product set you apart? Is it that your product is great and you can do it at a lower cost? Is it your pricing that sets you apart? Is it that your customer service is better than everybody else's and that you have a better take on how to handle the clientele? Is it a certain way you do your thing versus your competitors that make you different, that can differentiate yourself? Is it your expertise in the subject matter? Have you had years and years and years of experience in something and you know that that's going to be worth something when you're selling your products or services to your target market? And basically, trying to think about why your customer would choose you is a good way think about what your advantage is, because sometimes you may not have the competitive advantage. And if you're going through all of this and you're about to, invest your life savings into something and you realize, I don't know that I'm going to be any better at this than somebody else, or I could be just as good, and the market is so huge that the more the merrier, that there is room for me in this industry, and I can compete just like the rest of them, and there's demand for my services. Okay, so also in a business plan, we think about growth. Short term, many times when I'm counseling people, people get very mixed in their mind with their short-term growth strategies versus their long-term growth goals. It can be overwhelming. So I always like to say, let's just start with the beginning. We want to make sure that, number one, we are meeting our company capacity. I am the company, I'm the only owner. I work 5 days a week. I work from 9 to 5. I'm doing something. Am I busy from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday? Have I completely met my capacity? That's number one. Number two, if I have customers, I'm at capacity and I'm working with these customers, can I offer them more services or sell them more goods? That's a way to grow your company without having to go out and market new customers. Basically, you're upselling. You're telling your customers that you want to send them or give them something else that you're offering. So a way to grow your sales. And then the next thing is thinking about, can you reach new customers? Can you go to new markets? Can you go to the town over? Can you go to the county over? You've kind of perfected it where you are right now. And, maybe I can reach a new customer somewhere else and grow my company that way. Long term, you've gotten so much demand. Now it's time to think about maybe hiring some employees, expanding your workforce. You can increase your capacity to meet the demand by hiring new people to provide the service or sell the good. Maybe that growth strategy means moving from a home-based business to a brick and mortar. Maybe it means taking what you're doing and moving it to the e-commerce and selling online and reaching, anyone who has access to the internet. So these are more long-term goals, growth goals that you can think about. And sometimes people say, hey, I want to make an acquisition. I want to acquire new business. I want to expand. So whatever the case may be, whatever your job is, whatever your company is, it's always good for you to think about, what can I do now versus what can I do down the road? And I think that's just a good way to think about it. So you're not completely overwhelmed, and starting with something that is probably not appropriate at where you are in your timeline. And you might have more success fulfilling and reaching those short-term growth goals than jumping ahead of something that, may or may not work right away. Okay, so market analysis. So obviously on a large scale, there's industry research, there's things you can do, there's cases you can make, you can look all that up. That's not what this presentation is about today. Don't have those links or resources right here where, you can find out, what's the market in New Jersey for something, is there demand for it? Yes, you can do that industry research, but on a small scale, when, very often when you're a small business, you make observations about what's going on in your community. And maybe you have noticed that there is a huge demand for something out there, even something that you need that you can't find. So even in your day-to-day, can you demonstrate that there's demand for what you might sell? You can find out how much money a year is being spent on your item. Again, that's through maybe some external research. How much maybe you spend a year on that item and you realize, my God, I spend so much on this. I should get into this business because other people are going to spend it too. Then you can think about it. How saturated is this market? Can I squeeze in? Can I take share? Is it just so competitive right now that there's no room for me? Or is it so much in demand that they need more? So these are all the questions you really want to ask yourself and you want to be honest about. And then what's the cost to get into the market? Is it very cost prohibitive? Does it require a lot of equipment? Does it require a huge initial investment that would be very risky to make if you get in? And once you get in, you realize that nobody needs it. So these are all things that you want to kind of think about, especially before you make any huge financial investment in your new business. Then there's always marketing and advertising. How do you intend to get your products to market? Are you going to use the traditional? You can use email. We all know social media and digital media marketing is the present. It's the future. It's going to be critical as part of your advertising campaign. I like Facebook business and I like Instagram business because it doesn't really cost anything, and you can make a little mini website sort of information profile about what you do and get out into some of the community groups and post and stay relevant without much financial investment. Especially as you're waiting to build your website. It could be costly to build a website. Eventually you may have to build a website, and that makes a lot of sense. But until that's the case, at least a Facebook business account or an Instagram business account could be very useful for you. Once you do get your website, always the thought process is, how can you drive people to your website? What's the means to get them there? That's where the action happens. That's where the sale is made. So always in anything you do, make sure you can direct them to where that action happens. And if it's your website, always a link to your website. Search engine optimization, I'm not going to lie, I don't even know what that means. I do, but that's not my area of specialty. There are people who do understand that. I do understand that it has to do with their ability to be able to search for something they need and have your information come right up. If that's not your area of specialty, if you're like me, then it does take some time and effort to maybe take some YouTube classes on it, see what services that NJSBDC has provided in the past. We've had some excellent speakers in our library of webinars on this very subject. Talk to somebody on the younger side who, this is their life, this is what they learn, this is what they know. Perhaps you can find somebody who can assist you with this. But this is all in this day and age, it is important to understand how the internet and how technology can drive your campaign forward. And then old-fashioned networking, chambers of commerce, going to events, local business support groups. That's a great way, always a great way to share your business with somebody else and to collaborate and network. Okay. And then just risk assessment. Oh gosh, there is always going to be startup costs. How much money are you willing to invest? Are something that you have an idea in that you're going to start, and then the economy takes a turn and the costs for running this business just start to go up and it becomes prohibitive to continue your operations. How is the competition in terms of product and pricing? We talked a little bit about this. Is the pricing, is there a situation where you just cannot compete by price and there's nothing else that stands you apart? So you've just put a lot of time and energy and effort and money into something where you're just not a player in the field. Watch your cash flows. How long will it take before you deplete your cash flow? Sometimes we don't get profitability right away. There's a ramp up time to profitability. You may not be profitable, but you really can't run out of cash because then you're stuck. And so always thinking about your return on investment is going to be important. How long it might take to break even, or how long it might take to earn that positive return is going to be important when you're assessing the financial risk and starting a business. Could there be an act of nature? Hopefully not. I had to throw that in there, but hopefully nothing like that ever really happens again. When we had COVID, it was a very unfortunate situation. There's no way you could know that that was going to happen. But you know what? When you're self-employed and you're a business owner, you have to take into consideration different things. If you're doing something that involves there being good weather, if it rains, is that going to be a loss or something for you for that night? So just keeping all that in mind. You may lose you may be doing really well, but you're only dependent on one customer, and then that customer goes out of business. Now you're out of business. Are you diversified enough in your either your supply chain, getting your product, or in your customer base? So these are the types of things to think about to mitigate any potential risks in planning for your business. And then always a section about yourself. This is the fun part. Talk about yourself, talk about your experience, industry knowledge, expertise, education, whatever the case may be, especially when you're going to seek outside financing. So important to tell the lender that you've been doing this forever, you are an industry expert, and now you want to do it for yourself. And you're very confident in what you are doing because you know this business inside and out, and now you're going to do it for yourself. So this is always a good place to really toot your own horn. And then financials. This could be a presentation in and of itself. This can be its own presentation, but I will say this. When we are thinking about our financials and we're thinking about our business, we always would want to have a sense of what maybe that first year will look like on a month-to-month basis in terms of your projections. And that includes your startup. There is going to be a certain amount of initial investment that you're going to have to put into your business in order to earn your first dollar in sales. So first things first, what is going to be this initial project cost? Do I have the money to make that initial owner investment? Do I need outside financing? I'm able to give this much, but I do need either some kind of a loan or some kind of maybe equity investment to get the capital together to get the business going. That's got to be one of the first things you think about when you're moving forward in a plan. And then operations, your first 12 months. What I always like to start with the operating expenses because they can be easily identified. Okay, got rent, got utilities, subscription, there's some phone charges. Maybe you have a payroll. You can pretty well identify what your operating expenses are going to be, hopefully year one. If you have goods and there's also a cost of goods component to your income statement, that's the other thing. What's it going to be? What's your costs associated with securing the inventory or securing your whatever the goods are that you're purchasing, either wholesale or where you'll have to mark it up. Because remember, in an income statement, there's always, especially if you're selling goods, there's always going to be a gross profit line item as well as an operating profit line item. So your first line of profit is going to be basically your sale price less your cost of goods. That's your gross profit. But is that your income? No. You will then have to account for all your operating expenses. So just being able to outline what your expenses are for the first 12 months could be very helpful. The last part, because it's the hardest, leave it to the end, is projecting your sales. There are going to be several ways that you can do this. I mean, sales are basically, at the end of the day, they're driven by units sold, whatever that unit may be, whether it's an item or it's a service, times the price of the unit. So those are two variables in calculating your sales. And you can look at this from multiple ways. I call it the bottom up versus the top down approach. Bottom up is basically thinking about day by day, hour by hour, item by item, multiplying by the number of weeks, multiplying by the number of months, and trying to get to a sales number. And the other way to do that is, thinking about if you're trying to figure it out from a per unit item in terms of what you're going to charge. Remember, we were saying, if you do all this math and all of this works, and at the end of the day, you're profitable, but you're only profitable because the price of the unit is 10 times more than what everybody else is charging, then that's not good. That is going to raise some eyebrows, and there's going to be a challenge of your assumptions if you're going out for financing. They'll think about the fact that you may look profitable, but no one's going to buy your product at that price. So that's the top down thought. So usually you can kind of converge and find a middle ground using the bottom up and the top down analysis to get to some kind of a pricing model that might work and that will also yield profitability. And that's going to be very telling, and it's going to help you in determining what the financial health of the business will be over the course of the year. And I think that's the end of the formal presentation. If we have questions, we can move on to questions now, but that's all I have on my slides today.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Really appreciate it. Let me get my, all right, there we go. We do have a couple of questions. Let me just quickly remind everyone of a couple of things before we get into our Q&A session. So as the links, our webinar assistant has been sharing those links in the chat. Please make sure that if you complete our brief survey, if you'd like to receive the slides. This webinar is available, will be available on our YouTube channel in a couple of days. But if you'd like to see part 1 of this webinar, then please go again to our YouTube channel. You can just search up NJSBDC webinars, NJ Thrives, or you can you'll be able to find our channel through the link that is being shared. And as always, please put your questions in the Q&A box instead of the chat box. In the chat, you can share any comments, things like that. Vanessa, Stephanie, and David and CB say thank you. And let me go to our questions now. Okay, so I believe one of the questions that we have was for Amy. Amy had to leave, so I'm not sure Parker will she'll be able to answer the question. So Parker, I suggest that you reach out to Amy on the website, the email, and the phone number, the contact information that she had left, and I hope that you are able to find the answer you're looking for. Next question is from Fernando. Vanessa, which is for you. What type of grants are available for manufacturing and or service companies in New Jersey?
For startup?
I believe so, yes.
So this present, we're not really going to talk much about grants today, but to answer your question, at any given time, there could be incentives and grants available for a number of items. But I will say, and I'm sorry that doesn't answer your question, I would never count on a grant for a startup. Now, having said that, if you look at the NJEDA, there's some great financing options and grant options that could help a startup, but it could take some time. It's sometimes a reimbursement situation where you have to pay up first and then get reimbursed. These are all ways to assist you and can make a big difference. But and depending on the industry, yes, if there's a need for manufacturing research, you have to do the research, you have to look, you can talk to a counselor, we can point you in the direction of a couple of sites that you may want to look at to see if there's any kind of incentives for manufacturing in, say, certain zones or certain areas. But it's not something I would ever really count on for a startup, especially if you haven't. And there are exceptions, and I don't want to get too much into it now. I'm kind of getting into it, but technology companies, when there's research and development, and there's money behind certain industries because there are investments being made in developing certain areas, then yes, perhaps there are some startup funding. And I don't know, Usman, you want to add to any of that, but.
No, I think you covered everything, Vanessa. And
Okay.
if there's any other questions for grants and loans, and the business has been in existence for lots of years, for at least 5 years or so, then I think we can always direct the queries to our capital team and such. So that's always helpful. But that's a different topic. for the purposes of today's topic. Let's move on to the next question from Barbara. Is there a business plan template available for a certain business, or is it just one business plan template to follow for all businesses? Good question.
So I think I said this in the beginning. What I shared with you today is my recommendation as a counselor and what the business plan looks like and could be applied to any business, whether you're a small business, any industry, any size company, because if you follow along on those pointers, on those sections, you're basically answering questions that impact the value drivers of your business. So regardless of what the industry is. So that's my belief as a consultant. That's what I'm here sharing today. You can certainly do research. You can go online and you can find templates for different industries. You can Google what you want. Maybe there's other things that you can incorporate that are important. But for the purposes of today, I'm trying to explain to you at a minimum, to be successful financially and to be discerning as you're using your startup dollars, these are the types of questions you have to ask yourself when you're building your plan.
On a similar note, Vanessa, related to the business plan, Mark asked a question of how many pages should a business plan have realistically? Should it vary on the type of business that you have?
Well, I'm not the ruler on length of business plans. So I've seen long ones, I've seen short ones. My message today is it does not have to be long. Now, if it helps you to have all your data together and to build something and just have it as your kind of your Bible, your book, your resource, then and it helps you, great. But to answer your question, if you were to walk into a lender and look for a small business financing, nobody's looking for a plan that's longer than 3 or 4 pages. If it generates additional questioning and they have more questions about maybe challenging some of the assumptions in your plan, and you have some resources that you have from your original work, great. But if you had to be able to sell your company to somebody and get them interested and just put some kind of a plan together that's clean, a couple of pages.
Yep. Short and simple as always. Next question is from Michelle. Can you please clarify your top-down approach to evaluating cost?
Okay, so what I mean by top-down is, I'll give an example. In say the tutoring business, it costs, $10 an hour. I'm charging $10 an hour for my tutoring business. And I think that's a good price, I'm saying, right? And it's going to take, 5 hours a week to work with this person. So at the end of the day, I'm telling, and that would work with my business model. And so at the end of the day, I'm telling the parent that'll be $50 for the week. And that's a bottom-up approach because I feel that's what it's worth my time. That covers my expenses, and that's great. That's fine. This is a very basic example, but let's just say that most people can do tutoring for the same amount of time for $20 a week. That's the top-down approach. Is once you establish your pricing and you go out there with it and it covers you break it, you're just doing, it works, but you're not even near anybody else in terms of your competitiveness and pricing, then that's the top-down analysis. What are other people charging for the same service? So it's finding that balance between what works for your business cost structure and where you fit competitively in the market with your peers. Is looking at both the bottom up and top down.
Got it. Next question is from Laurice. Can you do a general assumption related to sales monthly? For example, the goal is to make $200 per day regardless of items sold, or is that too general?
That's another way. You might have to play with that sales number several ways. That's so I understand what you're saying is that, hey, in order for me to really break even or do anything, I have to get at least $200 of sales a day. And if that's the good starting point for you to figure out if this business is going to be viable, then that's okay. But then you have to start thinking about, how do you get to the $200? So it's like a puzzle piece. When you're looking at a financial or an income statement, you're looking at a projection, you may play with it. That's why I always like to have the operating expenses in first and all your expenses in first, because then we're playing with sales numbers, we're playing with projections, we're thinking about what's possible. And every time, if you're using an Excel sheet and you plug something else in, you can see what impact that has on your bottom line.
Got it. Fernando asks, at a very high level, what was the difference between part one and today's part two?
Part one was the how to start a business and in New Jersey, and part two is how to create your business plan.
Yep. Thank you. And Fernando, if you'd like to watch Fernando and anyone else, if you'd like to watch part one and you missed it, as I mentioned earlier, you can go to our YouTube channel and find, I believe it should be 2 webinars ago from this one. So yeah, a month ago from this one. So it should be, it'll have, Vanessa's picture on it. It'll say part one and everything. So keep an eye out for that. Parker asks, what do you recommend for a company that has been in business, then identified a problem? Then we created solutions for the problems. However, we ran into the problem of cash flow.
Yeah. So it's a good time to maybe evaluate your financials. Take a good look at them, look at your expenses. Is there anything that you can get rid of? Is there anything that you're spending money on that maybe isn't necessary? That's one way to improve your cash flow. Another way is to think about your sources, where you're supplying from. Can you get your products at a lower cost if it's a good that you're selling? How you can lower your price, cost of goods. Can you raise your prices? Will the market allow for it? Are you undercutting yourself? Sometimes it goes the other way. Sometimes you're not charging enough. Or is the issue the amount that you're selling? Can you up your marketing campaign? Can you increase your advertising? Can you reach a new market? Each of the items that I just outlined, if you were to look at them in number form and do a calculation, each of those variables, if altered, could increase your profits and therefore your cash flow. So you think of an income statement and you think of an Excel sheet and you think about each input, each variable. Anything that affects that bottom line is something that can be addressed. Start with your expenses, think about your cost of goods, think about your pricing, and think about how you can increase your target markets.
All right, next question is from Anonymous. Can you expand on market analysis and different places to go besides Google or ChatGPT, or different ideas to get the info needed?
I'd have to get back to you on that. I know there were industry sites, and that's just not something that I know off the top of my head because I don't utilize them. But maybe we can get back. There are federal sites on spending. There are state sites on spending and market shares. I don't know if Uzma, you know of any, but it's not something I'd be able to.
I don't know specific ones either, but I will recommend, Anonymous, that you reach out for counseling because our
Yeah.
consultants have insight on certain databases.
Databases,
We
yes.
have
that's the word I
access
was
to
looking for.
them. So if you just come to us and request counseling and say, hey, I need help with my market analysis, I need to run numbers and things like that, we
Yeah.
can access them for you and we can help you find some of them. Also, if I'm not mistaken, Vanessa, I feel like, and this was back in the day, I'm not sure this is offered anymore, but local public libraries used to offer databases as like information if you were a member, if you had a card, library card, but they would have, they would be a member in those databases and they would be able to offer things. I'm not sure if that's done anymore.
Could be, absolutely. It's worth, that could be true. Also at universities.
Universities are the biggest places. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Next question. I like the business plan that you talk about. Is that one available to share with the group?
Well, you'll get a copy of the slides. So yes, that you'll if you fill out the survey, you'll get a link to the slides, and then you can use that business plan to as much as you like and tailor it to what you think is appropriate.
Yep. And besides the one that Vanessa is offering, if you ever want to check out SBA and SCORE. So SCORE is our sister organization and SBA is our parent organization. So SCORE and SBA both also have templates that they offer. You just have to go look for them. But if you want to do, compare things and if you want to see which one works the best for you, so you might be able to find some there.
Yeah, and everything is customizable. Somebody in the chat asked if you could customize. Of course, you can customize to, but just keep in mind what the outline is asking. There's a reason behind each line item. Each of those line items impact profitability. So always keep that in mind. How you're in your anything you do, how it impacts the bottom line.
All right. Vanessa, Fernando's asking about a contact at NJEDA. So we talked about the established manufacturing and service businesses. Do you have a contact at NJEDA you can refer to?
Well, yeah, we have our contact, Michelle. She's one of the customer service representatives. I don't have her information right here. Maybe what you can do is just let me
I think what could also be done is that when NJEDA release their press releases or any updates or things like that, they're very good with providing contact information. So you should definitely be able to find email addresses, phone numbers, things like that at the bottom.
Yes, I would say each of the grants have a contact for that grant. Now, if you just have general questions about just want to talk to someone at the NJEDA, you can make an appointment with one of our counselors. We can make an introduction. So it should be general customer service. But if you have a specific question about any of the specific grants found on that site, they have specific teams for each program, and that's who you'd want to contact.
Yeah. And Fernando, yes, the website is njeda.gov. That is the correct website. Also, another place that you can go to ask about manufacturing and service businesses is NJBAC, actually. So that's New Jersey Business Action Center. They have a great online chat option where there's always someone who's able to answer questions very quickly. So definitely try NJBAC as well. Let's see. And last question. Oh, wait, one more. So Daniel asks, is it acceptable to change your business plan to adhere to the criteria of the source of a grant?
Yeah, it's your business plan. I say it again, you can obviously, if somebody's asking you for something that's not within that plan, and there's something in addition that you have to offer, of course. Really, the purpose of this plan is to, at a minimum, have you address and think about value drivers for your business. And by value drivers, I mean anything that can impact your ability to be profitable.
Yep. And one thing I think, Vanessa, I get from that is when applying for jobs, it's always recommended that you customize and change your resume according to the job description, things like that. So this is how I think of it as business plan, just change it and customize it as
Of
the grant
course.
asks for.
That's right.
Yep. And last question is from Patrick. Where would one go for funding? Banks, credit unions, SBA?
Oh, that all depends. It all depends. If you're but generally, to answer your question, if you're a startup, or not even not a startup, SBA loans are great for small businesses for various reasons, because they're partially backed by the federal government. They're meant for small businesses, and there's usually less money required down in order for to be eligible for one of the SBA loans, but a lot is going to depend on credit score, business plan, financial forecasts, what it looks like. So to answer your question, just depends. I would seek counseling, and we can see what's going on with your business and see what would work best.
Yep. And that concludes our Q&A session. So thank you, Vanessa. As always, thank you so much for all the information, for all your help for the Q&A sessions. And I don't see any more questions, so I think I will take that as a conclusion to our Q&A. And to mention our upcoming webinars. So next Thursday is, of course, Thanksgiving, and we won't be having any live webinars, as we want everyone to enjoy the holiday. We will have a replay, however. So if you missed last week's webinar, which was for Empower Your Business Small Business Saturday Success in New Jersey, and you'd like to rewatch it, then you can join us on Thursday, which is the replay, of course. I'd like to reiterate that it's not a live webinar. You can go ahead and register at that, or you can go to empoweryoursmallbiz.eventbrite.com. And it was hosted by our consultants, Christian Pichardo, Ryan Silvestri, and we were joined by the SBA's NJ District Director, John Blackstock, as well as NJBDC Small Business Office Manager and our State Director and CEO. So that was a fun webinar. And we, in the past 46 years that this organization has been in existence, we've helped many, 15,000 plus and more small businesses start, grow, and thrive. No cost small business consulting, training, and events starting at $0, exclusive small business resources. It's always been a pleasure to host these as a host and moderator. It's always been a pleasure to interact and engage with everyone. And next week, we won't be joining a live webinar, but I'll take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I'd like to thank our speakers and our webinar assistant and everyone who does this every day and every week for us, with us, and especially you guys, our attendees, our small business owners who we do this for. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you so much for your attendance. Thank you for everything that you do. We really appreciate it. And we hope that you continue to join us even after next week. And you know, the holiday season is starting. Everyone will be busy. Everyone's small businesses will be busy. We hope that you can join us. And if not, we're always here for you. Feel free to request counseling whenever you want. So NJSBDC.com is the place to go. And as always, we appreciate you. We appreciate you attending and hope everyone has a safe and a happy Thanksgiving. All right. Bye. Thank you for joining. Take care.